Now, nothing goes more with a hot red lip than a clean, smooth base. If you want to learn how to achieve looks like these, keep watching. For this look, the main focus will be on the skin work and the lip. You want to keep your skin work very clean and minimal. First rule of getting a minimal clean base is using less product. So we want to start with our skin prep, starting off with a toner. And I'm using an essence toner because I want that luminous skin effect for my base. So I'm using products that are luminous, products that are moist, and that will soak in the base well and make it look more natural. I'm going to let that dry down before we're going with our moisturizer. I'm using a hyaluronic acid moisturizer because I also want that luminous feel to my makeup. Once your toner is dry down, go in with your moisture and just apply that all over your face. Also, don't forget to apply to your neck as well. Then we're going to go ahead and apply sunscreen. This is really what gives me that luminous base. I like to apply my sunscreen before every makeup look because it just makes the makeup sit better on my skin and it gives that added glow to my makeup. Then we're going to go ahead and apply our primer. I'm using a hydro grade primer because I'm a combination skin, but if you have an oily skin, you can go ahead and use your mattifying primer. You're going to apply on these areas, your nose here. You're going to drag it a bit into this area. Apply to your upper lip as well. I'm going to apply here as well. Just majorly on the areas where you get a bit oily. And then we're going to go into the forehead. So now we're done with this, we're going to let everything we just did dry down. It's very important that you let it sit into your skin and let the product absorb into your skin before you go on to the next step. And once that is dry down, we're going to take our beauty sponge. Your beauty sponge has to be damp, guys. So soak it inside water. Let it soak into the water. Then bring it out. Squeeze out all the water from the sponge. And when you're done with that, you get your paper towel and you dry out every drop of water inside the sponge so it becomes damp. Because I want my base to be glowy and skin light, I'm going to go ahead and apply this dewy highlighter just to give me that added glow to the areas where I want to be highlighted. I'm going to apply this to specific areas on my face. So highlight it at the high points of your cheek, here, where the light naturally hits you here. I'm also going to apply here. You can see where the light is hitting me. That's where I'm applying it, just so it even shines more. You can see that shine, you can see that glow. So when I apply my foundation, it will seep through my foundation. I'm just going to go to my nose and just do this. Because you want a very clean base, you want to go ahead and apply minimal product. So the lesser the product you use, the cleaner the base. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this foundation. This is the matte flawless foundation in 335. So you want to get a foundation that is your exact shade and you're not going to use a lot. This is what I took out of my tube. Let's see if we actually finish it. You don't need a lot of this because you want a clean girl look. So we want to avoid too much foundation. I'm using my beauty sponge to apply because I want a clean base. I would have gone in with my brush, then my beauty sponge, but I'm going in there with my beauty sponge because I want like a more natural base. The beauty sponge gives more natural finish than the brush. I'm going to tap on the foundation. Now I'm just gonna you can see the sheer foundation I applied. It's almost like I applied a skin tint. But I'm not going in with heavy layers. I'm only doing one layer today. So I'm basically just using the remnant to apply to my forehead because the forehead does not need that much foundation. This is basically all you need. Look at the foundation remaining. I didn't use everything I applied, so you literally just need like one pump. Now to conceal, we're going to use a concealer that is close to our skin tone, 1 or 2 shades lighter. The max should actually be 2 shades lighter. I'm using the Fenty concealer in 385W. The idea is you want a concealer that is almost your natural skin tone, so it doesn't look too highlighted and gives full glam. But before we do that, if you have dark circles or if you have hyperpigmentation, go ahead and color correct. I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate it for you in case you need to do it because it's going to help you not apply too much concealer underneath your eye because we're trying to go for a clean base. So I'm going to be using minimal product. To avoid using too much product, we're going to color correct. Apply just a bit just so it gives a smooth base for my concealer application. To blend it, I'm going to be going in with the same beauty blender, but I'm going to be using the tip because it's easier to use this part of your blender to get into your under eye. Before we blend, I'm not just going to go in directly with my blender, because if I go in directly with my blender without applying product to it, it will wipe away what I just applied. I'm going to go ahead and dip my blender a little into the color corrector so it has some product on it. So when I blend it, it does not take away the product, rather it blends it in. So you want to go in tapping motion and just blend it. Also, when you're applying your color corrector, you also don't need to apply too much so you don't have issues blending them out. You can see how it easily just blended out. I'm going in with a concealer that is close to my skin tone, and I'm not going to apply too much. I'm going to just focus it here and here. That's all you need. We're going to dip it in, take out some to our hand. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take what we just applied here with the same beauty sponge, the same part I used to apply the color corrector, tap it into the concealer while we let this get tacky so that it has enough coverage. I'm gonna then highlight our T-zone. So I'm gonna apply it on the T-zone here. I did this because I don't want too much concealer, so I'm just trying to manage the product. Apply it to my nose, tap, you're not dragging, you're only tapping in to the forehead. Easy, right? If you're following my steps step by step, I promise you, you will get it easy peasy. Now we let it get tacky, we're going to go into bronzing. So I'm going to use this from the MAC concealer palette. I'm going to focus on bronzing, not contouring. Bronzing meaning using warmer tones to kind of give your skin warmth and kind of give you that sun-kissed glow, so it looks like glow coming from within. Contouring is more harsh. It's more like creating shadows on your face and giving your face more structure. Going in with the bottom of my sponge, press it a bit like this and tap it into the product. Remember, we're not applying too much, so we want to be careful in our application. We're going to focus it on this area here. It's just right above my cheekbone, just a bit above my cheekbone. So I'm going to do this from here to here, to this point, to this highlight point in your cheek. That's where you stop. Now you're going to take the remnant on the sponge and then apply here. You're not taking new product, you're just taking what is left on the sponge to apply here, and then you tap into the product again, then apply here just a bit. Exactly the areas that apply here to here. I'm going to also do the same for here. In tapping motion, we're not dragging, we're not rubbing, we're tapping the product in. So you want to make sure your products are tapped in. Now I'm not blending that out yet until I'm done blending my concealer. I'm going to then take a flat brush like this, tap it into the bronzer, and dust off a bit because we're about to apply it on our nose and we don't need too much for the nose. I'm just gonna apply it lightly and just drag down. Apply it from the inner part of your eyebrows, apply it from the eyebrows, drag down here. We're going to take another one to just highlight your cupid's bow, but this is optional. You can only do this if you want an overlined lip when you're doing your lips, but if you don't want an overlined lip, you can skip this step. But I like to overline my lips, so I like to just contour my cupids. Now we're done with bronzing, we're then going to go into blush. I'm using the Patrick Tar blush in Osh. Is different. It has the cream, it has the powder. We're going to go in with the cream blush first. So for this type of look, you want to use colors that are in the same tone with your skin tone as well as your lip look. This is this particular color because it's close to the lip color I'm using and it's more on the natural side. I'm going in with the same beauty blender but another side, this part, into this product. Apply here just a bit. So we're applying above the contour, just above. See, you see the way you blended it with the concealer? That's what it's meant to do. So just a little above this contour, we'll apply it there. Now we're going to go in and blend the concealer. So we're going to blend from the edges. We're not just going in to blend everything. If you go in to blend everything, it will lose its direction. So you want to blend it as you applied. So you're going to start from these edges here and blend out the edges first, like this. You can see you're not seeing any edges again. The edges are gone. Now we're going to go in and then join it together. Like so. Now for this bronzer here by the sides of your nose, go back in with the bronzer part of the sponge and just tap on those lines. It's diffused immediately into the concealer. That's what we want to achieve. Just tap on it lightly. You don't even need to blend it too much. It will blend on its own. So I just did a very light tapping and it went away. Now this line here, I'm just going to tap on the edges of the concealer to diffuse the line on our forehead, so we don't have any line on forehead. Here as well with the concealer part to diffuse any line. Now that I've blended out the concealer, we'll go back in with the blush part of the sponge and just tap on the same area and bring it back, just using the remnant on the sponge. You're not tapping on another blush, you're just using the remnant and you're taking it up to diffuse the line that was here, just like so. This is what you have after you're done. You want to make sure everything is properly blended before you go in with any form of powder. So for this week, we're using only one concealer. We're not layering concealers here because we want a soft look. After we're done with this, we're going to go in with our setting powder. I'm using the Huda Beauty in Banana Bread. You want to use a setting powder that is close to your skin tone or a translucent one. A translucent powder is basically a transparent powder that when you apply, it does not have any color. It's a no color powder. Anybody with any skin tone can apply that one. So if you don't have a setting powder that is close to your skin tone, you can use a translucent powder. For this look, we're only going to be focusing on setting and not baking, because what baking does is it brightens the look and makes it more pronounced, and we don't want that for this look. We want to give clean skin and natural beats. So before you set, go back in and blend your under eye. Remove any crease line on your face. Make sure you remove the harsh lines. So once that is blended out, you're going to just immediately go into your setting powder like this, dust off the excess so it's smooth on the sponge, and then tap in. Tap in. You're not dragging, or you're tapping, 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 tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap in until that area is well mattified. Make sure you get into all the areas that is wet. I'm going to go back in with my powder, set this area as well, tapping the product. You want to make sure you're tapping it in until it blends into the skin and it looks so natural like this. So for this area, I use the remnant from here. Then I'll tap into the product again, go to my nose, and then here. I'm going in with a second layer, but light layer, because I'm not satisfied with the way it's set. I feel like it still needs more powder, so I'm just going in lightly, so it really sets that under eye well. And you want to use your damp beauty sponge, because the damp sponge gives a more natural look than a powder puff. If you want a more natural look, go for a damp sponge. I'm kind of also using that to set my brows, so when I want to draw it, it's already ready for that. Next, I'm going to go in with the bronzer. We're going to set the cream bronzer with a powder bronzer. I'm going to be using this shade to set. I'm using the A3.2 brush from the Morphe set. So I'm just going to go in with the lightly set. I'm just using the same I took on the brush. I use it to apply on those two sides because we don't need much with powders. We're not going to do much with powders. I'll be setting everything very lightly. Remnants here. Then we're going to set our forehead. Basically, you're setting all the areas you applied creams. That's what we're doing. I'm going to set here as well. Set here. I'm going to go in with my eyeshadow brush to set the nose as well. We're not doing too much, just going lightly. Now I'm going to go into powder. I'm going in with the MAC Studio Fix powder in NC43, using the A21 brush. Tap it in lightly, and I'm majorly going to focus this powder on the areas where no powder has touched. So you know the powder has touched under here, the bronzer touched here, it touched here. So I'm going to focus in majorly where it hasn't touched. So I'm just going to place it here. Those are my major focus. Go to here, lightly. Then I'm going to place this one here in the middle, and then take the remnant on the brush and spread it to the sides where the bronzer is, so it does not cover the bronzer completely. The remnant on the brush, I will just go over it so it doesn't cover what I just did. For my nose, I'll just apply it like there. And this is literally it for powder. Going into brows, I want to keep our brows very light and natural. So if you have this, you're going to want to use it and wear it on the last two fingers so you don't touch your face or spoil your makeup with your hands, especially if you sweat on your palm. I'm going in with the Refine Brow Pencil in dark. Brows are going to be super easy, nothing too hard. Remember, we already applied our powder when we were setting to the brows, so our brows are already mattified. We don't need to go in with powder again. We're just going to go in with our spoolie, brush it up, focusing majorly on the areas that are sparse. For me, it's this ends of my brows that I need to fill in more. I'm just going to go in light strokes. So I'm not drawing it, I'm just giving it strokes. So it looks very natural and it doesn't look too drawn. So this is the area where I'm going to focus on. I think I like it like this, it's perfect. I'm not pressing the pencil, I'm actually just taking it lightly. Now to conceal, we're going to go in with a flat brush like this. We're not going to use any concealer that is too bright for our skin tone. We're going to use, if possible, use your foundation. Just use your foundation to highlight because we don't want a very visible highlight. We just want to clean up the brow. If you want that clean up look, you use a concealer or a foundation that is the exact shade of your skin. Going in with this shade. So you see what I'm saying? Concealer is not visible because it's close to my skin tone. So with this, it will be easy for the concealer to disappear into your skin. I'm going in with a blending brush, tapping on some of the products I just used. I'll just blend it out from the edges into my eyelid, kind of also using that to set my eyelid for eyeshadow. We're not dragging, we're not rubbing. Tapping, 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 and then we're just also taking it into the eyelid. I'm going in with my setting powder, the same banana bread powder I used for my under eye, with my eyeshadow brush. Tap it into the powder, just a little bit, dust it off, and I'll just set that concealer I just applied here. And I'm focusing it more on my brow bone because I'm still going to use my eyeshadow on my eyelid and it will kind of set it for me already. I'm just focusing it more here because the eyeshadow is not going to be touching that area so much. Now to give that cohesive look and to give that more natural look, we're going to go into our bronzer, the same bronzer you applied on the face. We're going to use that same shade with our eyeshadow brush and then use it to sculpt the eye. Now to apply this, we're going to focus it more on the outer corner here, tapping it here more, dragging it out a bit so you have that winged look, and then bringing the remnant inward. You see, I'm dragging it inward and then into the beginning of my brow, so it just looks cohesive and it just looks like it's together. I'm also dragging it into my nose here and here, just so everything just comes together. That's what I'm doing. And because it's a natural look we're going for, we don't want to layer it on too much, so we're going to layer this 3 times. Tap on the outer corner first, drag this out, then bring them. I'm going to go in with a golden eyeshadow that rhymes with the skin tone. Go ahead and use any goldish eyeshadow that is close to your skin tone. I'm using the Juvia's Place Coffee Shop palette. I'm going to be using this bronze shade and with my hands because your hands will give you a more natural finish. So I'm going to be focusing majorly on this middle because I want to give my eyes a highlight. And so rubbing it over and over again will actually give it more shine. And you're only going to focus it on your eyelid, so you don't let it surpass your eyelid into your crease. Now to give your eyes a little bit of pop, I'm going to go with a brighter eyeshadow. This is an eyeshadow stick from Wonderskin in the shade Champagne, just to give my eye that little pop that it needs. You're going to use a shade that is not too far from what you just applied. You can see that it's not too different, but it gave it a little pop. And because we want to give a more natural look, our liner, we're going to be going in with a brow liner. This is the Wonderskin brow liner in the shade Kalamata. Now you can actually decide to skip your lashes if you want because you're going for a more natural look. I'm just going to apply my lashes off camera. Just went ahead and applied my lashes off camera. I applied a half lash I got from Shein. For the lip, you want a hot red poppy lip. So I'm going to be using the Fenty Velvet Lipstick in MVP. Starting off using my MAC Chestnut liner. If you're going to apply a matte lip stain, you want to apply lip balm on your lip a little bit, clean it off, and apply your lip stain. That way your lips will not feel too dry when you apply it. I'm going with the lip stain. I'm going to focus it more here. Smack. And then the remnants on the spoolie, then take it out. I'm using the powder part of the blush. With my A22 brush for Buffy, I'll just tap that in. You also want to apply a light layer of blush. We're not going to do too much. Apply here first. You're going to stipple on the product here, just at the upper part of your face towards your temple. And then the remnant on the brush, you're going to drag it into your under eye. And we're not going to do too much. I'm doing a second layer now. Like here. Drag it in, then you're going to apply some into your temple so it looks very cohesive. And the remnant on your nose as well. It's giving natural. but it still rhymes with the lip color. Now I'm gonna go back in with our dewy balm that we used earlier to highlight. I'm using the same beauty sponge, tap it into the product. I'm not gonna apply this directly. I'm gonna dust off some to my hand so it's not too harsh on my face. Just apply it on the high point of my cheek here, this part, just here. Take it upward a bit, apply it to my forehead. I also apply it to my brow bone to give it that shine. Just the areas where I applied it in the beginning is the same area where I'm applying it now, just to give it more shine. Dewy highlighter because it gives more glow from within and gives more natural. Now I'm going to go in with a brush like this for my under eye. Tap it on my powder. I'm not taking any powder, I'm just taking the remnants on this here because I want to diffuse the light that this highlighter just gave me. Now I'm going to tap it in and drag it out so it doesn't have that harsh line that shows that I just applied something. It just diffused the line out and it looks like the glow is coming from somewhere, but you don't know exactly where it's coming from. Now I'm going to go ahead and seal the makeup using our setting spray. I'm using the Morphe setting spray. And you want to be very generous with your setting so that your face is drenched just like this. Once that is dried down, we're just going to add a few finishing touches. I'm going to use a small blending brush. I'm just going to go in with my bronzer and I'm just going to apply it underneath here just to bring out those browns in my eye. And finally, we'll go in with our mascara. Bring out your lower lashes carefully. You're going to use the tip. Now once you're done, this is what you should be having: a clean base and a popping red lip. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.